Hey everyone, I'm Kevin Galetz, and I am a program facilitator working with the Regina District Industry Education Council in the Sunwest School Division. Today it's my pleasure to introduce Jeff Dyer, a graduate of Rosetown Central High School who works as a manager with SaskTel. Jeff will tell us about his occupation and what it's all about and outline some of the work and opportunities that he has had in this unique line of work. Just a reminder before we begin, this session will appear on the RDIEC YouTube channel for you or others to view in the future. Just go to rdiec.ca to find the YouTube channel there. Thanks for taking time to do this session today, Jeff, and I'll turn it over to you now.
Great. Thanks, Kevin. As introduced, I am Jeff Dyer. I am a technical solutions manager in the wireless service development group with SaskTel. I work in Saskatoon, and I've been with SaskTel for about 20 years now in a variety of roles. Definitely technology solutions manager is quite a mouthful in itself. And really what I look after is the wireless network and the services on the wireless network, which include mobile data, phone calls, text messages, and picture messages. So in my role as wireless service development, I'm working on new services that we can introduce alongside the existing services you might be familiar with. Really looking forward to see what we can be doing in the next 5 years sort of thing, and also working on current projects that we have going on. I use my knowledge to do consulting with other departments, marketing, sales, our roaming teams, our operations teams, our support teams. And so I'm providing a lot of information as a subject matter expert on these services. So supporting those services as well. So when things do break, sometimes I'm involved in that as well. The types of skills that a person in this role might need, you really have to have the ability to make a lot of decisions independently. I'm regarded as a subject matter expert on these services, and when people are looking for answers, I'm the one providing that. And of course, it's got to be correct, considering all the technical aspects of that service, business aspects as well, including whatever financial impact there may be to the organization. And this is not a one a day sort of request. Everything's coming at you constantly with questions from different people, working with different teams. So organization and planning is key. I need to be able to look at my day and try to figure out when I can do my work, just beyond scheduling meetings and looking at deadlines, that sort of thing. So with a lot of inquiries coming at you constantly, you really have to be tolerant to the stresses of the job as well. When somebody's looking at you, you might be in the middle of a meeting, somebody's asking you a question, and you're under the gun. You need to provide an answer almost immediately sometimes to solve a problem. That comes with the teamwork, of course, working with small teams, large teams on designing new services or talking about existing services, and being able to effectively communicate a lot of detailed technical components of these services to a variety of different audiences with different technical understanding. The day-to-day, the bulk of the job, designing services obviously means I'm looking at problems constantly. I'm trying to solve problems, taking pieces of technology and trying to put them together to form something cohesive. We're working with multiple vendors along the way, and sometimes their stuff doesn't play well, and it's mediating, communicating with that vendor, and trying to look and see what sort of way we can solve these problems. So where do I do that work? Pretty much an office setting. I have a chair, I have a desk, and I have a computer with multiple monitors. I've got tall walls around me, which provide a bit of isolation to be able to focus on the work that I need to. And I also have the ability to do some work from home, a couple days a week. So that's really good flexibility. Just sit at home, focused, a lot of less distractions sometimes when doing that. But as we're developing services, obviously I need a lot of phones and a lot of phones that are set up in a different way. So we do have access to a variety of phones, different makes and models, and that we can access remotely. So I can still sit at my desk and control a whole bunch of phones that are maybe sitting in the basement. And that area, essentially our lab, has a lot of different cell towers and a lot of different scenarios that we're able to test to ensure that the service that we're designing is working the way we expect it in all scenarios. So this is just a picture of here of we've got essentially servers at the top and the bottom there, and cell phones, which are just connected through a USB cable into those computers that we can access remotely. And this it might be one of those spots that I would be accessing those phones from, which would be my desk. Yeah, as clean as you want it to be, as messy as you want it to be. So multiple monitors to be able to juggle lots of data input. So this might be typing into a terminal session to program network elements, or just doing basic spreadsheet work on there. A laptop as well for if I need to be somewhere out of town. Maybe we go just into a meeting room, and also to hook up other phones too, and do other sort of tasks that I can't really do on the corporate desktop. So it's definitely a rewarding job for me my entire career. I really enjoy that I'm building networks that are in the service of the public. This is something that almost everybody in the province is making use of what I've been working on, and I find that really rewarding and advancing for the good of everybody, and the ability to work and solve really difficult problems. And that can be some of the best things, when you get that aha moment and you're able to find a problem and fix it. And some of these problems you're fixing for hundreds of thousands of people at a time, and that's really great. Of course, it comes with challenges. Knowledge acquisition could be a challenge. That's finding the time to be able to do the training. I'm looking ahead at the 5G stuff, to try to understand that what's coming on the horizon with that. Some of the training courses that we get will have maybe months before we actually need it, and so retaining that knowledge is also a challenge. Not only might I get a training course and then have to recall that information a few months later, but now we have these services that are deployed in our network that they're there for years. So years down the line, I'm getting questions about something we may have put in 5 years ago and trying to remember how did that work. So of course, documentation is extremely important in this, not only for myself, but for others to reference as well. Deadlines, definitely a challenge trying to meet those in the short term, things that we have coming up, balancing multiple deadlines of things that just pop up that you must address. And, really the long-term ones as well. We work on a lot of multi-year projects, and as I talked about with solving a problem, you really get that instant gratification out of that. But with a long-term project, it's really hard sometimes to go through and work on those when you're not getting that constant reward out of that. It's a very long-term thing. You have to really manage the schedule that you're working on. Your schedule is constantly changing as meetings pop up, and you have to really shift what you're working on. and then being able to find that time in between 15 minutes or so to work on something else that you've got on your desk. Um, and some of those things that you put on your desk just don't really come to fruition. You can do a lot of work on something, designing a specific service, and then find out, no, we're not going to go ahead with that for whatever reason. So sometimes you do generate a lot of work that doesn't really get used. So that can be difficult, but you do get those ones that go through and are quite rewarding. Salary and benefits, quite good. We're looking at like 85,000 to start. As a technical manager, and can get up to 150,000 and beyond. All depending on your years of service and the knowledge that you've attained over the years. So that's definitely recognized and is appreciated that the work that I put into this affects my salary. There's benefits such as health, dental, vision, flexible spending account. Those are really good and take away a lot of the sort of stress of if things pop up there. Get the teeth checked out quite regularly. A very good defined contribution pension, and if of course, as the time goes on, that grows. So there's definitely a lot of security with that. Into retirement, and as well, it's just a really good thing that can keep you engaged in with a certain career at a certain company. Holidays range from about 15 days to where you start to 30 days of vacation. There's also earned days off as well, so that's like the every second Friday off sort of thing. And typical work hours from 8 o'clock in the morning to 4:47, and a weird number just to make that earned days off. Educational requirements definitely vary depending on the specific job that you might be looking at. Obviously, grade 12 is, I think, the minimum for a lot of the technical jobs. For post-secondary, you may look into an engineering degree, computer science degrees, and technologist diploma, which was the route that I took. We definitely have a lot of continuing training courses, right? Technology is always changing, and we need to keep up with that. So those training courses are offered through work and very relevant to the work that we do. And of course, it's imperative to do that self-directed learning as well, right? I've spent hours reading specifications to be able to keep up with a lot of the latest technologies, and it's sometimes quite dry, but can definitely help with the understanding with that technology you're working on. So where did I start? Well, Rosetown Central High School was where I graduated from. I began my post-secondary education with computer engineering technology at SIAST in Moose Jaw. Became a technologist. And while I was going to school, I was able to join SaskTel as a co-op student, which I found was an extremely valuable program to get that work experience while you're still going to school. I worked at the internet help desk there in Moose Jaw. I was able to move up to Saskatoon with that. And then I moved on to a job that is definitely not what I'm doing right now, and that was a bit of work on the outside plant. So if there were new buildings, I would be there to facilitate, and say, this is where our cable is, this is how we get into your building. So it's good to have that perspective of other departments in your organization to really understand how everything works. And I moved into the wireless operations group, which really began essentially my career, I'd say, working on the wireless network. We were, wireless operations is mainly about looking at alarms, responding to alarms, and solving like individual customer troubles and smaller network issues as well. I gained a lot of knowledge there and had a lot of opportunities with that. including an international engagement. And so I lived in the Bahamas for 2 years to assist with the ramping up of startup wireless carrier. So I was able to bring my operational experience at SaskTel to this operator in the Bahamas, and worked with two junior engineers there. Did a lot of knowledge transfer to them on how to get their network up and running, and a lot of optimizing their network as well. And it was a life-changing experience, obviously, being immersed in a different culture for quite that time. But I was able to bring so much more back to SaskTel just by having that different perspective of how another company works, how a startup company works, to see how with very few people, a lot of things could be accomplished in a short amount of time. So we did a lot of things, just a lot less red tape when you're dealing with something down there. So that was good. Brought a completely different perspective back into my career, where I moved on to wireless support. So I was focused on a more specific area of the network, and provided support to my peers in the operations group when things broke, and also just to improve the service. From there, I moved into my current role in wireless development, where right now I'm looking at our core networks and how we can deliver services like wireless data and everything else that goes along with that. Bringing that into a new platform, and as well the evolution of our networks and delivering those types of services. So what kind of opportunities are there with a job like this, a career like this? At my path, I would say, is very specialized. Like, I believe that I'm a wireless core network person. That's what I do. So that operations path to support to development is really what I've seen myself being able to do for the past 15 years. I've seen that path quite clearly. There's maybe only one or two steps up from here, except for something like the executive office, which is maybe not quite what I had in mind, but there's lots of opportunities in other departments as well to really expand the breadth of your knowledge. It wouldn't be unrealistic for me to decide to go into our marketing team, and learning more about how that team functions, or sales, and learning about that. And I could have a complete departure from the wireless side of things, and take a look at the home network, home internet side of the business. I think there's a lot of different opportunities there, and different roles that we can take. And obviously, SaskTel being a big technology company, you don't have to just be somebody who's working on the wireless network. You don't have to be working on technologies. We've got building technicians and a whole wide range of careers in a single company. And I think that's really great that we have such diversity in knowledge like that. And there's other side steps, like just supporting technologies to the wireless network. A lot of it is now in the cloud, and that's something that we maintain. So there's a lot of opportunities around cloud computing and AI, and all those leading edge things. So the work-life balance is good. I don't have a lot of after-hours work now. When I was in the operations group, there definitely was after-hours work as things broke, and that's when a lot of the maintenance would occur on the network. Not doing so much of that now. Work is obviously a frequent topic at get together with work friends. So it's on our minds. We'll definitely talk about work after, and it's difficult to avoid sometimes when people find out where you work, and find out that you work at SaskTel, and have questions about your cell phone. So it's a good thing to be an ambassador for the company as well, and be able to to help people out where you can, or direct them to somebody who can help them out. So that's the end of the slide presentation there. I guess if there's any questions from here, I can answer them.
That's great, Jeff. Yeah, I've got a couple. Not a whole
All
bunch
right.
here, but that was really well done. So the training courses, you said kind of you do that while you're working a lot of it now that you're full time, you're engaged, and you got a lot on your plate. So do you do those during the work day, or do you have to kind of do that on your own time?
I do most of the training courses at work. There's a learning portal that I can go into, and I can either be assigned courses that are relevant and coming up, or I can look through the entire catalog of what we have there and select a topic that I might want to learn about.
Okay.
So I'm looking at more than technology training. There's soft skill training in there as well, and I found that useful. If I want to extend some of that training, not just online stuff, but I've also attended industry events, fly to Toronto or something like that, and I consider that good training too, where I'm networking with other people
Yeah,
who are in similar careers.
yeah, yeah. I was also interested in your benefits that you mentioned. You said the flexible spending account. Can you elaborate on what that is? Because I'm not sure what that is.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that is just essentially another bucket of money that you can have that's dedicated to certain things. I can put it on to my, health spending account to top that up for prescriptions and eyeglasses, that sort of thing. You can direct it to wellness. So, if I want to get my camping pass for the year, I can put that
Oh,
on there.
yeah,
Uh,
so discretionary funding for yourself, like to put wherever you want. Okay, so
yeah.
that's an interesting benefit. That's good. Um, you mentioned that co-op student program that you with SaskTel. Do you know, does something like that still exist with SaskTel?
I haven't looked into it. I do know that we have a summer student program that is active, as we've definitely had
Yeah.
individuals join us that way. That's pretty good too. So we'll have university students at varying points in their school career come in and just come in and learn a topic. And I think some of those students have been, the best because they can learn very quickly. So we do have that as well.
Good. So, I mean, I know you, Jeff, from your days at RCHS, and you were very much involved in technology. You're probably one of the more from a teacher perspective. If there was ever a student I had to go to for technical like background, it was a lot of the sound equipment and things like that at RCHS. You were so knowledgeable about that. So is that the kind of is that maybe an indication for some future students that this, a job in, doesn't have to be SaskTel, but a job in technology? What do you think they may have to have? You mentioned some skills and stuff like that, but some things that they could say, geez, if I'm good at this, this maybe is a career for me.
Yeah, definitely the mindset of how does this thing work, and being able to really dig into the details of something, because yeah, in my career there's a lot of details. There's just the signaling and essentially the conversations between a phone and the network. There's thousands of things that happen in a second, and so being able to dig into that and try to look for those really small problems, that's it. And yeah, just generally that curiosity, I think.
Yeah, that's good. Well, that's good. That's very good, Jeff. Thank you very, very much. You certainly gave me more insight into what you do because I just use a phone and sometimes I don't use it very well. So, so
Yeah, and it's definitely a burden to understand exactly what's happening when somebody's picking up, how a phone call works.
yeah,
That's
I,
the thing. Yeah,
I just know that the more reliant we become on things, internet, phones, stream TV, things like that, that the more we count on people like you to keep it running. So we
yeah,
appreciate that. So thanks for taking time to do this today, Jeff. Really appreciate it.
no problem. Thanks for having me.